All right, so for these next problems, we're going to find the exact values of sine theta over 2 and cosine theta over 2. So that tells us that we are dealing with those half angle identities. For this example, we were given cosine, so I don't need to worry about making the triangle because we have what we need for the formula. But to start with, I'm going to go ahead and just divide each of those by 2, so that way I can just find which quadrant my answer is in right away. So 180 divided by 2 is 90. And then 270 divided by 2 is 135. So all students take class. And if you need to, this is the 90, 180, 270, 360. Okay. So if our answer is between 90 and 135, that is going to put us in this quadrant. Okay, so next I'm just going to start by finding my sine of theta over 2. And I can go right into my formula. So sine theta over 2. If it's helpful to write the formula, we are doing plus minus, and then that big square root of 1 minus cosine theta over 2. So we are just plugging in what we know. So cosine theta we were told is at -3/5. So if I'm subtracting a negative, it becomes a positive. Okay. And then now I need to get rid of those fractions within fractions. So to do that, we're going to multiply the top part by the denominator of this term. So I'm going to multiply everything by 5. And then I have to do the same thing to the denominator. So plus minus square root. So if I distribute, 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 3/5 is 3. And 2 times 5 is 10. Okay. Now this time I don't have a square root and a square root, so I need to keep simplifying. So 5 plus 3 is going to be 8 over 10. We can divide each of those by 2, so this will be 4 over 5. And then I need to think of this as 2 separate, so square root of 4 over the square root of 5. And if we keep simplifying, that becomes a 2. And then I can't simplify the square root of 5, but I can rationalize. So 2 square root of 5 over 5. And now I'm deciding if I want my answer to be positive or negative. And if you want, at this point, if you do this part first, we can decide that right away. So where you decide that doesn't really matter. But if I'm in quadrant 2, all my sine answers are positive. So that means since I'm finding sine of theta over 2, I need to keep the positive answer. So this will be 2 square root of 5 over 5. All right, and then we're going to go through that similar process with the cosine of theta over 2. So in my formula, plus minus is going to be 1 plus cosine theta this time over 2. Now, since I know my answers in quadrant 2, that means that my final answer is going to be negative because only sine is positive in this quadrant. So instead of writing plus minus each time, we can just write the negative. So this will be 1, and then if my cosine theta is -3/5, I'm going to write -3/5 over 2. And then getting rid of our fractions and fractions, so I'm going to multiply everything in the numerator by 5 and in the denominator by 5. So distributing, that will give me 5 minus 3 over 10. And 5 minus 3 is 2. And if we simplify 2 over 10, that is going to be 1/5. And then I want to think of that as the square root of 1 over the square root of 5. So square root of 1 is 1. And then I can't simplify the square root of 5. And then the last thing I need to do is rationalize. So my final answer for this is going to be negative square root of 5 over 5.